Okay, my broachy boys, welcome. I'm starting this off tonight by... We have a lot to discuss and to digress, but I thought I would show you something kind of fun. I have yet to see this in its entirety, but it just popped up. So if you could please join my stream. It's going live.
Wow.
There's no stream to join.
Right.
There's no stream.
It is right now. So join
There
that.
is no stream.
I'm going to press play.
My dear
Is this
Popeye,
real?
the kindest soul I know. But he doesn't know that there's a storm coming.
I'm a happy lad. There's not a lot you can do to hurt me. But these men took the only person I care about. And for that, they'll feel the wrath of spinach running through my muscles.
So they're
I
using
will
footage
hurt
from a
them.
bunch of different movies here.
And I will shake their boat. And I'll get Olive back.
Look at that font, dude.
What a great font. Okay.
Wait, I must be missing something.
Yeah.
What are
That's
you doing?
fake?
No, I mean like my stream must be fucked up because it's just. I thought I was. You guys were talking about fonts and everything. I'm not. I didn't see any font at all.
Oh,
You didn't see any imagery?
Do you see any imagery?
I see imagery. Like right now, I see ocean, and then it's dark, and then there's a man in front of the sunset.
Oh, okay. Well, this was kind of a throwback to one of our first like reel-to-reels. Was you guys watching Popeye?
Yeah, you weren't even there. I forget that you weren't there sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, but yeah,
Yeah, that's weird.
I wanted to show you guys this because it's a funny put together of like compilations of Conor McGregor in that Roadhouse movie and a few other shots of other films.
The fucking
What's her
Colin
nuts?
Firth movie is that one I told you about.
Yeah,
I think this might be it too. Yeah,
With,
him
with
right
like,
here.
that looks like random bits of like AI too.
it is. It definitely
Mhm.
is. Like that.
Mhm.
That was definitely
Yeah,
AI.
that is
Type.
when he's like super buff.
Yep.
He's also,
That's such a
Yeah.
AI. He's got
Some
the
of these,
Yep.
yeah, like maybe city shots, or I was wondering if any of those were AI.
fight. So,
this
yeah.
definitely is. There's a shot of him all muscly earlier. That's definitely AI too.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that and just react to it real quick because it's a fun throwback to, from small beginnings. We started
Yeah.
watching Popeye and somebody made AI Popeye.
He's
Pop AI?
Conor McGregor.
Top AI.
Pop AI.
Popeye. Popeye.
Popeye.
Popeye. It's I've said this before, but there was like a collection of maybe like 5 to 10 movies that I would just put in like from middle school to high school.
Yeah.
I would just like start a movie playing and I would turn the repeat function on so that it would just keep playing all night. And I would turn it on real low and then I would just like lay in my bed, watch some of it and fall asleep. And Popeye was one of them. See, like I just have, and like our reel to reel, I have good memories attached to it. So I think about that movie a lot.
That's good. Well, and we did
Yeah.
Toys. I'm sure that was on your revolving movies that you would watch too.
Nope, that was
Oh,
not
for
one
real?
of them.
Oh,
It was like Master of Disguise, Popeye,
Yep.
Kimba the White Lion,
oh, wow.
Meet the Robinsons. AI was in there for a little bit. Fucking Anchorman was definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Huh. Interesting.
that's beside the point.
So yeah, that's what I want to show you. It's a fun little digression into our digression, because we're going to be talking about a few shows that I recently watched. I don't know about you guys, that I'm currently watching or I just finished watching, and they are Fallout, the new series by Amazon, and Shogun by Hulu/FX.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys watched both of them or either of them?
No, Shogun. I have watched 3 to 4 of Fallout.
I have not watched any Shogun. I've watched all of Fallout.
Great. Well, we'll start with Fallout.
Oh, man.
So what is your guys' knowledge with, I guess, the Fallout video games?
I've played. I haven't beaten 1 and 2, but I've played 1 and 2. Beat 3. Beat New Vegas. Beat 4. So but decent amount. Very, very good amount.
Okay, and what about you, Groucho?
I never played it, but I watched fucking Sean play it a million
you
times.
watched Sean and probably me. Like that was probably your greatest exposure points, I would imagine.
Yeah. I've seen quite a bit of 3.
Okay.
A decent chunk of New Vegas. I've probably seen most of New Vegas too.
Awesome.
But I know that you get the general concepts and ideas and everything.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the world and everything.
Oh,
yeah.
And all the music and things like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. When they go to credits in this, and then it was like a song I remember from the video game. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
There was a musical sting that happened in an episode. I think it was like kind of later on that I was like, oh shit, I remember this from Fallout 4. This is like the fucking main credits theme.
Yeah, there was the main song from like the intro song. Yeah, that song.
Maybe it's the like Fallout,
the New Vegas like theme, like from the very like the credits. Yeah, when you click.
Was it in 3 as well? Maybe. It must have been with the Brotherhood of Steel, like on the main menu and everything. Who knows? Well, it was really well done, I thought, and it was like separate from being a good Fallout show. I just thought it was a good like sci-fi show. You didn't have to know anything about Fallout, and it was still enjoyable.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I could get into a lot of the nitty-gritty stuff, but the show overall surprised me. Like I didn't have any feelings going into it. I knew that there would be like a lot of diehard Fallout people that would scrutinize every bit and frame of the show, that I was like, I'm just not gonna be invested in that. I don't really care about that much, but I do like the aesthetics of what I'm seeing, and at the heart of a lot of Fallout is like cowboy and atomic age stuff from like the 50s and like early 60s, where everybody was really into atomic energy, but there was also people that really pined for the like westerns and things like that were really popular in films. So it has like those hodgepodge things into this sci-fi world. Like a lot of those ideologies, people are like, yeah, let's wander the wasteland like the cowboys used to do back in the old days, but with like laser pistols now and suits of armor and things. But yeah, overall the show was really well done. It was by Jonathan Nolan and what's her name? Lisa Joy, maybe? Lisa Joy? They are the showrunners for Westworld. And
Westworld.
Yeah.
Westworld.
They did a really good job.
They share some similarities there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Westworld and Fallout.
Well, there's a connection even with Shogun, with Samurai.
Well, yeah, true.
Season 2 or 3, whatever it was. But I should ask you both this: like, do you care at all? I'm just gonna pause and maybe go really slow. Where people kind of pick apart the lore and like make it a like, oh, if this show like retcons this piece of lore, I hate it. Do you give a crap at all about that?
No, because if like I used to be like, man, I wish it was just like when I was younger, like I wish this was just like exactly like the thing it's based off of. But now I'm on the opposite side of things where I'm like, then what's the point? If you're just gonna give me a regurgitated version of the thing I already know, what's the point? So I don't really care as much now. I mean, there's certain times where I'm like, okay, you really shouldn't have done that, but like, by and large, don't give a shit. Change it.
I was kind of wanting to get your opinion on that, Bracho, because of your interactions with like the comic book sides of media, and then watching the adaptations, being like, what the hell? Like, but I mean, you
like
can
I said,
you let it lie.
Me. Not anymore. Not anymore.
How about you, Wilson?
No, I don't give a shit. It's either like I might get there might be a couple times that I might get sensitive of like, oh, that's just weird that you would do that if it's something I really, really care about. But I'm not gonna get upset. I'll just be like, oh, that was a very odd choice to do it that way.
Right.
And then there are some things that are so far from the original that it's like, all right, it's almost something different, but you're really swinging
Sometimes
for the
that's fun.
fences. Yeah, and at
Yeah.
least you're doing something different with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's the point if it's if the adaptation or the whatever it is like exactly the same? Like, I guess some people might be satisfied with that, but you know, then we're just having a cookie cutter life, and what's the fun there?
Yeah, I definitely see both sides of that. I, for one, don't care about the events and the chronological events that happened because that is a big feature of this. Like, Shady Sands was a part of the lore that a lot of people have some issue with it being completely blown up in the parts of this show and in the timeline in the games. That hasn't happened. At least, what they show.
Yeah,
Isn't this supposed to
this
take
is in the
place like
future.
after those games though?
This is supposedly taking place in 22. What'd they say? 2281
I don't
or
remember.
something? 88? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But
I thought
What
I'd
they-
read
what they-
something
what
where
they
this
say
takes
something-
place after the games.
what they say in the show, and
Yeah.
you can look into this. People have already made dissertations and full
Of course.
freaking blogs about it. But in the show, they
Fucking
show
nerds.
the chain of events that led to the bombing of Shady Sands, and it says right after 2277. But even I look into that and be like, it says the fall of Shady Sands happened in 2277, and then there's a little line that points to an atomic bomb. So like
Yeah.
the events probably started in 2277, and then the actual bomb went off later.
When did the games happen?
It's still there people talk about it in Fallout New Vegas. I know for sure that it's still there and operating as an NCR base.
And that takes place when?
I think that takes place in 2281. I'd have to double check, but I could be totally wrong. I don't want to get into it because then people pick that apart even. But I mean,
Right, of course.
in the games, they say it's still around. That's all.
Okay.
But I mean, to me, I don't care as much.
I just needed to
because
know
it-
when the show takes place versus when the games take place is the more important.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care.
The parts that I
Okay.
do appreciate is that in every situation and in every character, they tried to give them a like their main character here, the Vault Dweller girl. They try to give her an archetype.
The Spawn of
from-
McLaughlin.
The Spawn of McLaughlin, yes. And to get into Twin
Wait,
Peaks,
really?
she's the daughter of Kyle McLaughlin.
Not for real though.
No, not
No.
but
Okay, I was like,
Lucy.
In the show.
I was like, that actress's name is not McLaughlin. I think.
Nope.
No, in the show.
But
I don't
she-
know his character's name, so
Just in the
I
show.
just-
She is her name's Lucy, the Vault Dweller. She has like this, wide-eyed, and she does have freaking really wide eyes. Like, she's very innocent, and she meets a ton of other characters that have perks. If you remember the game, you can get a perk for your character, right? And there's different perks that you get that do different things or like tell you about how this person acts. And so we meet Maximus in like the second episode or in the first episode at some point at the end, I forget. But
yeah.
a lot of people have said, and I kind of agree with this, he has the perk of Idiot Savant.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because he's kind of just like
Yeah.
he's a goofy guy, but like kind of figures his way out of difficult situations. And I mean, it totally shows at the very end of the last episode. He like didn't do anything. He just showed up, and then the situation occurred where people started rushing into that room, and they're like, "Oh, you did this! You killed everybody! All hail Maximus!" And he's like, "No, okay, fine, I guess." And yeah, throughout the show, even Walton Goggins, the ghoul character, has the perk of Cannibalize, where you gain, I think the perk is you gain 25% health regen if you eat a corpse, but you lose charisma or something. So that's a funny
Losing the rave, dude.
it gets the perk there. And then Lucy, her skill checks or her her interactions with the wasteland kind of lends itself to situations you would have out in the wilderness or out in the wasteland. Like the first person she runs across is like this half naked guy in the desert, and he's just like talking, and she offers up water to him, and she's expecting him to just take a little bit of her water, but he just guzzles it down. So it's basically like a failed skill check, or like sometimes it'll say like speech check, or agility check, like, and sometimes you'll fail those, and then something bad will happen to your character, or if you succeed in them you'll get bonuses and things like that. So it's fun to see throughout the show if you can pick up on skill checks or other things like that. Like, I mean, I was half being like, oh, that's kind of reminiscent of the game, like this situation could have happened in the game, and it kind of makes sense looking back in hindsight of some of the episodes, because I've only went through it once, but I rewatched the last 2 episodes. Well, I kind of started the last 2 in a way where I watched the first half and then picked up so I can just absorb more, because I did love the story that it's telling. And in all honesty, I was more captivated with the Vault Dwellers and Lucy's brother kind of uncovering this secret thing, the secret weirdness that's going on in his vault. And I would assume like that's a lot of people's draw too, because a lot of people like to watch what happens in the wasteland. But I was like, I want to go back to see this like spying stuff that this kid's doing back in the vault, because that's a big part of the game, is like these vaults and the social experiments that's going on in each one of them. And I wanted to know what the social experiment was going on with this one, and the revelation of everything kind of was super intriguing. I really liked it. What do you guys think about it?
I was kind of waiting, like I didn't, because they don't immediately, like it's just interesting how they do it. It's kind of like a slow burn. Like in the very first episode, they show you on the walls there's like diagrams of, because Lucy's vault is vault 33, and they're talking about like, oh, we're gonna do a personnel trade with 32, or oh, these like elites live in 31, or there's like a diagram that shows that those 3 are like connected. So just those little hints, you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder what that's about. And I wonder if they are doing experiments and yada yada. And then you come to find out that, yeah, they are doing experiments. And so it was something that I was like hoping for from the games, of not just like lip service. Oh, we're doing vault and vault dwellers because it's people living in a vault. Well, you gotta have the vault tech part of it, where they just did a bunch of fucked up shit to people.
Yeah, do you have a favorite vault, Wilson, or Broadshow?
Well, I don't. There's so many that I forget, but I love the one with the guys, like the clones of the same guy. That
Yes, I was just gonna say that. That's what I wanted to get to.
Gary.
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 The angry ones. Gary.
That was one of my favorites too. That's what I wanted to get to. I don't know if Bracho, you have one specific, but there's a lot of really weird ones. Vault 11 was one of like the worst, or regarded as one of the worst experiments, because it was a social experiment where they had to year sacrifice a resident of the vault, and it just after the first year, they just kind of elected the overseer of the vault to be the one to be sacrificed, and then every time they would do like elections like they did in this show, that overseer just became the person that would be the one to be sacrificed. And they went through so many different generations, or I don't know if it was generations, but they went a long time before they just decided they're not gonna do it. And the social experiment was that if they didn't do it, they would be congratulated by like this huge party or something like that. Like the vault would like tell you, or like there would a prompt would come up on the computer like, congratulations, you're the true embodiment of what humanity should strive to be in the future world or something like that. And so after they figured out that it was just a test, that nothing was going to happen to them if they didn't sacrifice somebody, they all, in just sheer terror, they all just committed suicide as like a pack, because they were just so upset with like what they were put through. So there's like really creepy vaults out there. And I mean, yeah, Vault 4, the one we're seeing here in the show, they say that it was about just science, a science dweller, vault dweller things that they were just doing. It was all run by scientists. There was no other people, and they were all just doing experiments and things like that. But there's also like placebo vaults, or like base vaults where they just live and have and inhabit, right? Or there's vaults where there's only 1,000 vacancies, or 1,000 like rooms.
Yeah.
But they would overpopulate it with like 2,000 people and see how that went. And so that's a weird vault. And then there's doing experiments on super mutants and things like that. That's part of the lore of the games. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting vaults out there.
I really dug, like I said, I've only seen like the first 3 or 4 at this point, probably. But I've really dug that like initial thing with the our main vault that we start with, Lucy's home, when the raiders show up like right in that first chunk there,
Right.
and just take out the fucking that whole scene, just moving through the vault and like people getting fucked up, and like that was just all really fun.
The reveal of that was so cool, because Lucy picks up her Pip-Boy and like scans the guy, and he's like irradiated, and she's like, oh, and she hears the little on it.
Oh, you're a raider.
You're a raider.
You're a raider, Harry. How do you so I fucking, the Goggins of course does great.
Oh, he's the best
as
part.
He usually does. But like, how do you guys feel overall about like when they do shows like this and they make it a point to like in depth explain just something iconic from the game, like with the fucking Vault Boy or whatever the fuck it is.
Him being the caricature.
Yeah, or like
the thumb.
Or like I had read about the Matt Berry in this show, and him, and like explaining the fucking robot boys or whatever, and his voice being whatever. Like, is that like, I mean, for me it's how it's done, but sometimes just the idea of thinking of that, of like, we're going to overly explain
of the lore and be like, that's him, like that's where it started. The Vault Boy was basically this guy giving the thumb.
Right, because like it's like I said, it's like usually for me it's how it's done and how well it's done, but sometimes just the idea of it is just like, why do that? You know what I mean? I get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like,
Wilson, do you have an opinion on that?
Wilson? No. He has no opinion.
I'll say that if it serves the story in such a way that makes sense, then I'm fine with it. And in this case, Walton Goggins having his perspective in pre-Wasteland moments where he was a part of the expansion of Vault Tech and all these other conglomerates that were kind of conspiring.
Right.
And you'll get to those points in the revelation that happens towards the end, that he is, he's in cahoots with all these corporations, and the corporations are kind of coming together to make this a priority, like make the future for them and their shareholders a priority. And the revelations towards the end, where the science that's going on in some of these vaults are for the longevity of some of these corporations. And what that entails, you'll find out, Broadshow, but I guess whoever has
Right.
seen the whole show knows that this type of, corporations being in charge of like the well-being of humanity is kind of bizarre and weird. And the fact that, that Vault Boy is a corporate icon, and that makes sense in the world, that I'm fine with Walton Goggins being like a reminder. Like that's a reminder to him as the ghoul to be like, I kind of helped set the world on fire. Like I was the guy that lit that match to set the world on fire.
He's
got to live with it as a ghoul.
Right. It definitely adds with and even if it didn't, just Goggins being how good he is, I would have been fine with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like even if the story was a little shittier with his character,
with different timelines and how complex it already was. And, like, it's fairly simple, all said and done, but like just having like multiple timelines that you're jumping between, it could have gotten super messy and been like really convoluted and not well executed, but it seems like it played off really well. And I know you've seen the entire series yet, Broadshow, but like it just the way that they, because like you said, it's like you're learning stuff in present day with the ghoul, and then with her brother doing his investigations, you're finding out stuff about the past through that also affect the revelations with the ghoul and stuff. So it all just kind of rolls really nicely.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, that the revelation, when that happens, it has to do with our three protagonists. It has to do with Maximus, Ghoul, and Lucy. It has to do it has to deal with all of them because of the events that happen here, where Maximus sees the Brotherhood. He's like, this is him when Shady Sands was blown up and the Brotherhood came to save him. What led to Shady Sands being blown up? It is revealed how that started, and the cause of that led Lucy, along this journey, to find her dad, and what her dad's real stake in the events means. There's a lot of interesting dynamics that happen, and like the fact that all these three stories kind of interweave with that main flashback with Walton Goggins' character, dealing with the corporations. It's that reveal to one of the characters in that flashback was just like jaw-dropping, like, oh my gosh, okay. They were actually, that surprised me, and I was like, I was ready for that. I was like, that's really cool. I'm glad they did that, because that is a part of the games. Like in 4, that's part of your story as the character. Like you wake up from hibernation, you don't know what year it is, and you kind of have to piece things together like throughout the story. Like you don't know how far you jumped in time when you woke up from hibernation at one point. And it's an interesting revelation, I'll say that. And I was happy about it.
Oh yeah.
I kept thinking this is I would be interested in playing this game. Like I would want to explore this game world, like if I could go and meet Maximus and Lucy and the ghoul, have them as a companion.
Yeah, and see what they have to say.
Get quests from them or something.
Yep. This bright-eyed, bushy-tailed like vault dweller that hasn't seen the wasteland.
Dog meat.
And dog meat was great.
Yep. Really, really, like, I mean, it's so easy to just be like, again, it's so surface level to just be like, okay, put a dog in the show.
Yeah.
Because people recognize a dog, but they actually did go out of their way to give the dog its own story, and its own story that makes sense within this world and within the context of what we've seen in Fallout.
Right.
So it was like, it was another character in and of itself. No matter where it went or who it was with, it was like still executing the same thing that it was doing since day one. And to me, this right here was the ghoul with like maybe bloody mess perk.
Bloody mess perk. I was just gonna say that was a great perk because every
Blows
time
people apart.
you shoot somebody, it has a chance to like completely shatter every part of their body off. And he probably has something to do with well, I don't know if it's part of the lore for ghouls that they take more drugs.
Well,
to sustain.
I don't know about the drug to keep you from going feral. I think that's just something for the show. But like, I've started playing Fallout 4 because of the show again. I just got the itch, and one of the perks in there is chem resistant. So if you get it up far enough, you're completely just like, you can take as many chems as you want, and you'll never get addicted, and you'll just get potential. You'll just get benefits.
Oh, okay.
So he's probably chem resistant because he's taken so many fucking drugs over the years.
Yeah. And that was
because he gets shot. He's like, "Honey, there's a cocktail going on in here you don't even know about."
Yeah, there's like that's a mighty tiny drop in a ocean full of drugs or something. What I appreciate is seeing this little fellow here, Benjamin Linus from Lost, and he was the scientist at the beginning with Dogmeat. And Dogmeat actually had like I don't know if you watched with subtitles, but he had a name like X1031 or
yeah, it was like yeah, I forget what the destination was exactly. K404, something like that.
So he had a purpose, and like the fact that he was the artifact, I thought that was hilarious. Because in everything I've seen him in, and it's primarily just Lost, that he was kind of the punching bag for like a lot of people. Like a lot of people just beat on him, and he was bruised throughout that whole show. So seeing him just get his fingers or like his foot shot off, and then like what happens to him later on where she has to basically carry him around, like I just found that hilarious.
I don't know if you've gotten there yet, Broadshow, but even like Lucy losing her finger, and
yeah,
she gets like a dead gray finger reattached, and it somehow just like works, but she's just got this fucking dead gray finger on one hand.
That's funny.
I thought she did a really good job, particularly of like portraying what I would like. They did a good job of portraying her as like a main character in the games who would be like the typical person with a conscience who might be playing a video game like, well, I know that I can shoot my guns and kill people, but I'd rather not.
Right.
And
there's another
her getting into all sorts of little misadventures, and
I wanted to show
I would have really enjoyed seeing like when we first meet Lucy or the ghoul or Maximus or whatever, seeing like a little screen come up saying their special stats.
Yeah.
Would have been fun.
I don't know if you guys remembered this, but I recently made a video with Fargonauts as 3 frogs, and I called it Frogonauts, and I used ladyfingers.
Mm-hmm.
So
I recognized this song. I was like, oh shit, we use this.
And I was really happy. I was like, oh my god, they're using ladyfingers. And they used the majority of it too, like I did. It was such a lovely scene. I loved how it was hilarious how it took place.
Yeah, and this is like because obviously New Vegas takes place in like Las Vegas. I think you might cross over into a different state like a little bit.
New Pingus.
New Pingus, yep.
I was just really happy with that scene.
Like this is Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what this is like in the Fallout series.
Somebody made a video called Maximus has the idiot savant perk, and it's kind of good because he's just a goofy Brotherhood of Steel guy, laughing and and having fun.
He's such a cringe lord, dude.
He is. he doesn't know. He's not supposed to be in the Brotherhood. Like he's one of the people that like
No, but he's
doesn't
such like a
belong.
try hard, want it bad dude. And
He kind of throughout the show realizes that he would rather be comfortable than in situations like this. Like when he went to
good.
that vault 4, and he was just like eating popcorn and just chilling.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, this is what it's like.
This is great. Wearing his robe and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. When when he said something about like intercourse or like, oh, that makes your cock explode and then you can
Like a
never use it
pimple.
again, like a pimple. He thought that like ejaculation meant your penis fucking explodes and just doesn't ever work again. And then later on in the series he says to her, he's like, do you want to make my cock explode now?
Yeah. I like the fact that his intelligence is probably in the zeros. Like in
But I
negatives,
mean, also
maybe?
think about it. Like, if he really was taken in by the Brotherhood when he was a little kid, what the fuck have they ever taught him about sex?
True. They're probably
He's just been growing up with other angry men.
well. It's part of the Brotherhood of Steel to be celibate. So like, he's like, it's not my way. But like, it's not. It shouldn't be what he was destined to do because he is not Brotherhood material, and it shows. Like he doesn't even know how to use a suit, and he sometimes gets stuck in it, and you just can't deal with it. But I did like his Thaddeus, or his buddy that shows up to help him.
Yeah.
he has some of the best. His name is Pemberton something. I forget his first name, but his whole like arc was great. I loved him like showing up and be like, oh yeah, I was kind of hard on Maximus back at camp, but people did that to me too. So I just thought it was like part of the Brotherhood camaraderie and things like that. So hope he didn't take it too hard. And I was like, oh, I kind of was
It's a
like
very, very Fallout thing, though. Like,
wanted to hate you, but like you find deeper stories, yeah, like in the games. Like you talk to somebody, like, oh, I'm gonna kill this person, and then you start talking to him, like, oh wait, you're making sense. I don't want to kill you.
like I can just think of so many locations of like, finding one random person, and even if they don't have a quest, they'll just talk about like, oh man, I was doing this one thing, and then this happened, and now I'm thinking something else, and it's like they're not just static and being like, hello, welcome traveler, please find my 8 blueberries. It's like,
Yeah, they're dynamic.
yeah, they're going through shit.
They even if you like if they have a quest for you to like, I need you to go kill this guy because he did something to me. You go and talk to that guy, and they're like, oh, that's not what happened at all. Here's what actually happened, and then you like go back to the guy that gave you the quests, and you tell him what really happened, and they're like, oh my god, I could have done something horrible. Like, thanks for stopping me. So yeah, there's stuff like that is an interesting aspect to the show. Even meeting like Chris Parnell's character in Vault 4
Oh my
was
God.
hilarious, too. I really enjoyed him. You are banished. And here's this basket of treats.
It says Goosey right here.
It says Goosey. He was doing his best like Dr. Spachemin from
Dude,
30 Rock again.
like- Chris Parnell is so fucking funny. When I saw him, I was like, oh yes, this is gonna be hilarious.
Oh, I saw it. I would suggest, Bracho, you watch the rest of it because you will be thoroughly entertained. And whoever else out there hasn't seen it, do yourself that favor and go watch it. If you have Prime, go get it. Watch it. It's a good time. Even if you don't really know the games, you can have some fun with these characters and their interactions because it's a new world you can explore. And I think the world that they're building is kind of our aesthetic here at Fargonauts. Just a
little bit.
We like to. I like
Yeah.
to kind of base it around the atomic age. Of
Yeah, the
things.
atomic age.
Even
Some
our little cosmonaut guy that we have, he looks kind of like the. He's doing the same wink as the Pit Boy. The Fallout Boy.
there's some like grunginess to it, or some like, some scrungly things that we uncover.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the old strong doggle dude.
Scrung doggles.
Very
Scrang dangles.
Look at this idiot.
Just watching a recording of a waterfall. Like,
I like this. Popcorn's good. So,
okay, so one thing that I hope that this does is like opens up the Fallout game franchise to maybe slightly different games where we can have like a turn-based RPG where your party is Maximus, Lucy, and the Ghoul or something like that. Or I don't even know what other kind of game like genres would really be fun or good for Fallout, but it would be interesting to see them branch out because of like new audiences coming in or just wanting to keep trying new things. They just had success in a new venue, keep trying new things.
right. I totally agree. That'd be really fun. And you can do it with somebody will take the liberty to be like, "Hey, I put these voice packs of Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul as like AI versions that you can download at the mods store, and here they are in game, and they have like an AI generated version of them with their own like backstory."
Yeah, there'll definitely be like companions that they'll patch into New Vegas or Fruit 4 or whatever.
Yeah, more than likely it would be 4 or 76 or something like that. And here's to segue into the next show that I have been binging and been very much entertained by is Shogun. And have you guys seen any of this?
I have not yet.
None.
But
I'm already
I want
in.
to.
Yeah, like I'm already in.
Yeah. I just haven't yet.
Okay, I'll keep it kind of vague because the last episode was, as of recording tonight, the last episode already aired. And have you guys known about Shogun and its history? How it's based on the I think it's James Clavell or something like that, his book. And at one point I think it was a miniseries that ran in the 80s. And it was, I don't know if it was well known. I really didn't watch it, but I've did some like research about it that I don't know if a lot of people it was more focused on the English visiting this native land, and it was his perspective most of the time. And in this, yes, our main protagonist, John Blackthorne or whatever, is like our inciting character that shows up to this land with his group of what the Japanese call him pirates, but he is just a merchant, as he claims, going around and trying to circumnavigate around the coastlines where the Portuguese haven't taken up, the I don't know, they're kind of putting blockades around shipments of things because they're spreading their Christianity, and he's a part of a group that is not wanting to deal with that, and they're shit. So he finds another way to Japan, and he was our introduction to this world. But then it slowly digresses and moves away from his perspective and more to this like political intrigue of these daimyos or these other magistrates of these lords of this place after the death of their original shogun, and they're going to be putting like a vote to who's going to be the next shogun. And there's like this subterfuge and conniving and Machiavellian techniques that happen and trickery, and it just becomes like I don't like to say it, but Japanese Game of Thrones, and it's very intriguing.
I've already recognized a few faces from other things, and just on the cast, I'm and the concept I'm in, because to me, the idea of a period piece done very authentically, almost anything, like regardless of what its content would be, I will watch it, because it is typically some of the most interesting and enthralling stuff out there for me. Deadwood, the Boardwalk Empire, things like this, and it's a very, very interesting time in history and a very interesting part of the world. So there's nothing in this that is not like immediately up my alley, to be honest.
I'll say that it's, yeah, what you said is probably is when you finally do watch it, you'll be very in awe. Like we're seeing here, the vistas and the shots of everything. It's so beautiful, and you can just, I know from talking with you about Twin Peaks, and when we watched Psych, we were just admiring the scenery. Like that's a big part of this show is like seeing the beauty of like these old, I guess what era would you call this?
I mean,
Edo era, or what was the?
I don't know what era this would be. There's so many different ones, but this is certainly. I'll just say feudal because I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it was basically feudal Japan and like their Middle Ages, where they did kabuki theater and everybody was very much about honor and duty to your lords, and if you if you decided not to obey your lords, you basically said, all right, homie, sorry I spoke out of line, I'll go and kill my entire family line now. And the lords basically go, all right, homie, great, sounds good. I'm just gushing over a lot of this show,
Right.
and I'm wanting to know what your guys' perspective is on maybe that aspect of other media that you've watched where there's a big culture shock and the huge gap between how people interact.
Oh, one thing I can think of is the Netflix show Lilyhammer.
That's a good one, yeah.
Because there's so much in that where it's like, the main character wants to do something, and they're like, well, maybe that's how you would have done it over there. You would have just like, oh, you want to open a business? You would have just filed for a business license, yada yada. But over here, you've got to have a certain approval rating of your neighbors, plus this, plus that, plus it's got to be the right season of reindeer. There was a lot of that of friction of cultural shock.
Right. That was a big part of that whole show. Yeah, and that was Netflix's like one of their first big hits in their series. I remember watching that when Netflix first came out. That was one of their first shows.
Even that.
Yeah. And he was great. Like he basically just stopped playing the Sopranos character and started playing the Sopranos character on Lilyhammer.
Yeah.
How about you, Bradshaw? Have you witnessed anything recently about or watched anything where there's a huge culture shock kind of thing?
Culture shock?
Where it's hard to, communicate your ideas.
Right.
Where that's featured part of the plot.
Recently, not as much. Just think back to just be simple, somewhat face value similarity back to the that Netflix Marco Polo TV show. Did you ever see that?
Yep, I did. That was actually okay up until a point.
Yeah, exactly up until a point. It was pretty tight.
Because I did love the spin-off Thousand Eyes, I think it was, where they had that blind kung fu master guy have his own show, and that was great.
Was it Benedict Wong that was Genghis?
Yeah, he was Genghis.
My boy Genghis?
Or no, he was Kublai.
Or Kublai.
He was Kublai.
Yeah, he was Kublai. He just kept talking about Genghis all the time.
Yep. He kept talking about the Genghis.
Yeah, he was dope in that series too.
I only want to say that because a big part of this show is when John Blackthorne makes it, he doesn't have an interpreter, right? And so he has to deal with interpreters that are Portuguese missionaries that are trying to sway the lords into Catholicism and Christianity, basically. And they're at odds with people like John Blackthorne. So the interesting dynamic there is that they're unreliable translators sometimes, because they'll just tell the lords like, oh, he said this, and he's telling you that he's a bad guy and you should kill him, because they don't want anything to do with people like him, the merchants that are trying to do a one-up on them, or try to get the gold that they're after, or the tithes that they're hoping to get, or their churches that they want built there.
Right.
They think he's going to screw it up. So the interesting dynamic here is that Mariko, one of these, the lords, I guess you can sort of call it a hostage, but like her right here, she is learning Portuguese or English. She's learning that language from one of these Portuguese missionaries. And so when she's in the room with John Blackthorne and this other missionary, priest, monk guy, Tornaga, the main lord, is like, is he doing a good job? Is he servicing, like, being a translator accurately? And so there's another power dynamic there where the guy can't sway the lord into his beliefs that this guy is bad or anything like that, because she's there and she will tell him that he's not being a reliable enough translator. So just those interactions in that dynamic becomes more interesting as the show goes on, because then John Blackthorne picks up on a few things. He learns, how to get by with a lot of these Japanese words and things like that throughout the show, and you can see that. So he can do somewhat of a good job, like, listening to some people and knowing what they're saying, and that suits him well when knowing, like, what he has to do, and what he should be like. Oh, I'm not gonna take that command by the Lord. I'm just gonna go do what I want to do, because I think what I would. He's not beholden to their loyalty and their honor code, really. So if he thinks that he'd be able to help them in a better way, he'll just go and do it. He won't have to get permission from the Lord or do whatever. He'll tell them where the wind's blowing, and even if he's not permitted to, he'll just fucking do it anyway, and damn the consequences. So his character's kind of in service to just his own priorities, but also helping the people that have helped him, like Tornaga and Mariko, these characters here. Even if they tell him not to do that, he's like, no, this is the best way to help you guys, so I'm just gonna fucking do it. Sorry. And yeah, hope you guys get a chance to watch it.
You were gushing over that Shogun, so you were show gushing.
I'll show gushing on that show.
Oh gosh.
Called Shogun.
So gosh.
Are you ready? I'm ready.
For what?
I'm ready.
Just Mariko. Are you ready? I'm ready. So yeah, thanks for joining us as we digress on these shows that have been going on. We'll have to leave it there, guys. Thanks for joining us. Fargonauts will return. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.